Before watching, check out the review for this park right here. Warning, this video is not suitable for some viewers. Also, I may have used some of your clips in this video. Most of the year, we're working hard to make sure it's easy to have a delicious time at Knott's Berry Farm. But every now and then, we focus shifts a little to thrilling the f*** out of ya. That's why we take great pride in our Grade A, Grade B, Grade C, or sometimes Grade F coasters. So the thrills you get at the park are 100% pure. Pure cramped. This background sucks. It's time to change things up a bit. Much better. Hey everyone, it's Reek, and it's time to try something brand new. A lot of you know about roller coaster reviews all across YouTube and how they are very informative and constructive, although mostly, no, always being focused on a single coaster per video. Whereas for that, I'm thinking differently. In fact, my inner mind says something like this.
What a bunch of normies. Not thinking of original ideas and like the true mastermind. Everyone, prepare to meet your ultimate downfall, as Reek is coming for you. Praise John Madden.
So instead of doing the regular thing and reviewing each coaster at Knott's Berry Farm video by video, I'm going to review all of them in one video! If I have the desire for one huge video! Now let's find a good place to start. How about Corkscrew? That's a pure classic and a good place to start off. Oh. Then how about the Wacky Soapbox Racers? It's great to have a steeplechase-esque ride in the country. Okay, if the Soapbox Racers are closed, then that means for the first coaster to review today, Windjam. Oh, who am I kidding? That ride fucking bombed. There's barely any way anyone got on it. And, hold on, I've only talked about the former coasters here, and the only other former coaster I haven't spoken about yet is Boomerang, and I've actually been on that one. Alright, let's start there, I guess. Boomerang opened in 1990 as the replacement of Corkscrew, the world's first modern inverting roller coaster, and one of the most legendary coasters of all time. Boomerang operated at Knott's for 27 years until it was removed to make way for a large, immersive, glorious coaster that makes the public shit their pants. But since it was removed, was it a really bad coaster? From a general standpoint, this ride was pretty mixed among park guests. So basically, the public was for it and enthusiasts were against it, which is completely understandable. The public is the public, so what else would it be? And about every enthusiast is sick of seeing and riding Vekoma boomerangs, no matter how smooth or different they can become. Where am I in that love or hate line? Well, Firstly, let's talk about the layout, so I can never talk about it ever again. For this ride and every other Boomerang, you lift up, you drop down, you do a cobra roll, you do a loop, you lift up again, and do the whole shebang backwards. But since you all knew the common Boomerang layout by now, I'm going to talk about how intense and how smooth, or how rough, this ride actually was. You might have read somewhere that the regular Vekoma Boomerang models somehow produce some of the highest G-forces on any coaster. But from a person who has ridden something like these bad boys, I can't back it. I also can't back this cobra roll. It always seems to thrash your head around its transitions, and if you aren't braced for it, you're in for a world of hurt. Ow! The rest of the elements are alright though, but the cobra roll seems to take the biggest toll. especially with the ride's restraints. The restraints on the Vekoma boomerangs tend to suck one way or the other. They could either kill your neck, kill your shoulders, or, in the case of the Knott's boomerang, kill your entire head. Maybe if Vekoma added lap bars to every single boomerang out there, everything would be fine. But then again, Americans are insecure and will sue anything even if they know it's their own fault. Anyways, what was I on about again? Oh yeah, headbang, looping, and being primarily good to the public, even with its flaws. This ride was personally pretty mediocre. The Knott's Berry Farm Boomerang receives 5 out of 10. I mean, it's a Vekoma boomerang. What else do you want from it? I know what else I want from it. I want to get back to the present. Where's the Boysenberry Festival? Where's Ghost Rider with fresh wood? Where's that dark ride above the arcade? And most importantly, where's that new blue hotness? Yeah, new ride, let's go boys! Yep, I'm getting right into the fresh new hotness. HangTime is a custom Xcelerator infinity coaster that opened around the summer of 2018 as the first dive coaster on the West Coast, and whoa, wait there. They call this a dive coaster? I don't see a difference here. HangTime stands tall at exactly 150 feet. Making it the second tallest coaster in the park, and practically nothing compared to all the other dive coasters in North America. In addition, the ride goes 57 miles per hour, goes through 5 inversions, and has a top of lift hill to final brake run ride time of about 45 seconds, which includes hanging over the first drop, which creates the name HangTime. And since this is part of the boardwalk, it has a slight surfing theme to it, which includes full surfboards, a surf shop, and even surfboard headrests. So sorry dank memers, no ropes are being used here, although they are being used in the Halloween season. But enough with the theme. What does this ride have to offer? Absolutely nothing. This ride is forceless as f***. 0 out of 10. Good night. I'm kidding, this is a Xcelerator thrill coaster we're talking here, so it should have some sort of excitement to it. After waiting 45 minutes, getting past the loading gates and into the station with Knott's almighty cubbies, you sit down in a very comfortable Xcelerator train with lap bars. Yes! Those sucky over-the-shoulder restraints aren't here, and instead, we get an absolutely acceptable lap bar, which is like the mock lap bars placed on the floor of the train, with a seatbelt, since this is still Cedar Fair after all. After leaving the station, you are immediately thrown into the scariest part of the ride. The scariest part of the ride? But the drop comes after the lift hill! Are you saying that the lift hill is the scariest part? Exactly, come and get your free cookie. I'm no stranger to coasters, but vertical lifts are pretty damn frightening. Both big and small. 96-degree drop? Ha! That only makes boys cry. I only know that a literal lift hill going straight up will make men cry. After shitting your pants before the ride starts, you then hang looking 60 degrees straight down. And unlike B&M's dive coasters, all of the cars look down the same degree, which means no lonely car in the back looking straight forward. And if you're in the front, it's actually terrifying, as it feels like the lap bar can just release at any moment and let you fall 150 feet. Perilous plunge style. After hanging there, it's down the beyond vertical drop you go. This is actually a very good drop. You may get all the views in the front, but you'll definitely get hauled over in the back. And with a 4-car train, there doesn't seem to be a single dull seat on this ride. The rest of the elements on this ride are also pretty good. And yes, with a ride named HangTime, there is actual hangtime on this thing. It's not on full throttle levels, but it's still great. There's also a few humps of airtime, with one that has a bit of ejector. And the rest of the elements are kind of forgettable and somewhat jolty, but that's alright because HangTime shines amazingly at night. With LED lights all around the track, this is one of the best rides to look at and ride in the dark. And I mean anywhere. For my final thoughts on this ride, it may not be the best Knott can come up with, but with the limited space and the fact that it replaced Boomerang, this addition is perfect to the park, and I wouldn't mind if Xcelerator cloned this ride. HangTime receives 8 out of 10. It's great all across the table, and I recommend it to any thrill seekers who come to the park. So yeah, this addition was huge, but with a huge replacement, just be glad it's not a huge ride being replaced. Ugh. Anyways, on to Coast Rider. Coast Rider is a wild mouse coaster built by Mock Rides, much like Technocoaster at the Legoland parks. This ride opened in 2013 as one of the 3 replacements for Perilous Plunge, a shoot-the-chutes ride with a steep drop in maintenance issues that will make even Lightning Rod blush. So removing it and adding something new was ultimately a better decision. And I know some of you will comment under the lines of something like this: "But this isn't a good decision at all. They should have put a B&M Giga Coaster here that goes all the way around the park and into the nearby neighborhood. Also, they should take out that crappy soaking Calico River Rapids ride and replace it with an Intamin prefab, because Cedar Fair obviously trusts Intamin now, haha." And to that, I say deal with it, and flying scooters are superior to Giga Coasters. Bite me. Onto the coaster in Perilous Plunge's old spot. Coast Rider is one of the park's 5 family coasters, and if you haven't noticed, this park's coaster collection is perfectly balanced between family and thrill. Half thrill and half family coasters make this coaster collection good to an extent. But back onto Coast Rider. This ride sits right at the back of the park next to HangTime, and since it's right at the back, it looks straight towards the outside of the park. Either Knotts were too lazy to add some additional walls, or the nearby road secretly added to the theming. You know, the outside of the park will ruin the immersion of our new surfing themed coaster. I think it's time to build bigger walls. Whoa, hey there, how about we just scrap the surf theme and go for a driving theme? I beg your pardon? Yeah, and we'll use the road like it's the ride's theming. Oh my god, you're a genius, Tyler. It's nothing, Barry. Say, since I'm so close to promoting you, do you have any other ideas for this park? Nope, this meeting is over. So it's both then. Okay. These large park wild mouses have a very simple layout. You go up a lift hill, which now sounds like a constipated Chewbacca. You go down a drop, do some slow and sharp turns, go down more drops and sharp turns, and the ride is over. Congrats for 1-upping your credit count. I'm so sorry, pathetic, help me! Come on, do you really want more from me here? Ahem. It's an okay family coaster and nothing more. Ahem. Coast Rider receives. Ahem. More talking about since it now has those new shin guards. Hey, thanks for reminding me that. No problem, I'll go get boysenberry ices now. You want one? Of course, since you are the one getting them. Oh, right. You thought this topic was going to be untouched, didn't you? Well, you thought wrong. A couple years ago, some dumbass kid thought it was a fantastic idea to walk out of the ride vehicle while the ride is in motion in the station. I wouldn't blame the ride ops, but it's much more fun to blame the kid. So he slipped, and since he got the pain, he had to share the pain with us. That son of a jeep pie. Now, shin guards are no stranger to family coasters, but at least on other family coasters, the shin guards were actually meant for the train or car. But on Coast Rider, they just slapped them on and called it a day. Just rolling out of the station and the shin guards already sunk hard. And I mean real hard. No tame family coaster has left me with this much discomfort, and I'm not exaggerating here. Along with slow hairpin turns, you also have your legs grinding against the restraint, and those fun tiny little floater pops are now gone. Does anyone else slightly experience that on those hops? No? Anyway, this entire ride has been sabotaged because of these pieces of grade of shit! And even after all of that, I thought it would be a good idea to ride it again on a different day to see if I was over-exaggerating the bad restraints. And nope, it was another ride, another loss of blood from my legs. I was going to give this ride a 5, but that would be going way too far. And even a 4 would still be too kind and generous for this ride now. Which means the shin guards now make an okay ride straight up bad. Coast Rider receives 3 out of 10. If you want to ride a better Wild Mouse, just head 5 to 10 minutes down to Disney for a more intense Wild Mouse, or an hour down to Legoland for the same ride but with the best restraints you can find on a Wild Mouse. I mean, damn, I never knew that a ride like this would be ruined this much. And you know what? I need a break from the coaster riding. For now.
A few moments later.
Now that I had my rest, let's ride the next coaster we found. Is that what I think it is? It's rocket coaster time, boys! Yay! Up next, we have Xcelerator, the park's tallest and fastest roller coaster. This ride opened up in 2002 as the first ever roller coaster to feature a hydraulic launch. What is a hydraulic launch? Well, see this cable? This cable wants his friend, the train, to go fast. So with the help of a friendly winch, the train goes fast. Real fast. In the case of Xcelerator, 0 to 82 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds. So yeah, hydraulic launches make you go really fast. Heck, the world's fastest coaster depends on a hydraulic launch. But onto Xcelerator, having a launch with this type of technology and this type of force was huge back in the day. At least until you realize the Q-Line capital of the world came in with their own launched coaster a year before. Xcelerator is the park's tallest coaster and fastest ride, going up 205 feet and going at a top speed of 82 miles per hour. So if you're one of those people who are all about the rides that go big and fast, you'll be staying here for a while, because nothing else at the park compares to this. And to sacrifice itself for its height and speed, it's one of the shortest rides in the park.
Oh man!
From the launch all the way into the brakes, this ride takes just less than 30 seconds to complete the course. So have a good time while it lasts, because yeah, this bad boy is worth your time. Let's talk the launch first. Like I said before, you accelerate from 0 to 82 miles per hour in only 2.3 seconds, which means you are pushed into your seat with 1.6 G's of force, and yes, this launch is as awesome as it sounds. On most other launch coasters, you start sort of slow, but pick up speed as you go down. But when you start to launch on Xcelerator, it has no hesitation on trying to get to its top speed. It literally feels like you are getting shot out of a cannon, and you're carrying all that great acceleration all the way to the end of the launch track. And yeah, Xcelerator's launch is one of the best launches I've ever experienced. After launching, you then head up and down the ride's signature top hat, which is a really great element in any row. If you're sitting towards the front, you are flung up and over with a great amount of flagector. If you're sitting towards the back, you still get flagector, but this time while going over and down. And all of this while twisting up and down 90 degrees at a 90-degree angle. Although, after the top hat, the amazingness of the ride comes to an end. Because to end off the ride experience, Xcelerator sends you through 2 large overbanked turns, which are not really that interesting or forceful, but at least it lengthens the ride time so it's not one of the shortest rides in existence. And with all that speed, you smoothly glide into the brakes, ending off one of the most insane 30 seconds or less coasters out there. But is that really all that should be talked about for this ride? I mean, what's next? Talking about how inefficient Intamin is and how fragile their rides are?
Boom!
Nah, if I were to talk about Intamin and their broken rides, the topic would take long enough to be its own video. But what I would love to talk about right now is the ride's restraint system. Xcelerator uses Intamin's T-shaped hydraulic lap bars, or just T-bars for short. With a common Cedar Fair seatbelt, these lap bars quietly come down to your waist. Or do they hit your waist? You see, you can just leave the T-bar about an inch above touching your body, let go, right through all the intense elements, and when the ride is over, the T-bar is still in the same position. It's simply awesome, especially with the amount of airtime you get on the top hat. Overall, Xcelerator is an absolutely mind-blowing coaster, even with its quick ride time. There's just something so impressive about a prototype coaster holding up so well today. I'd say this was the lightning rod of the early 2000s. And yes, that comparison does include massive downtime. With all that said, Xcelerator receives 9 out of 10. I can't really say any more. It's one of the best launch coasters I've been on, and just a heads up, I will be ranking all of these coasters later, and Xcelerator definitely makes the top 3 for coasters here. And with 3 coasters down and 7 to go, it's finally time to get out of the boardwalk and do something else, like another family coaster. I sure hope this isn't another Coast Rider we're talking about. Jaguar! Opened in 1995, the same year as the opening of Space Mountain at Disneyland Paris, a shitload of Vekoma SLCs, and 3 Six Flags coasters named Viper. Jaguar was manufactured by Xcelerator, possibly one of the biggest family coaster manufacturers ever. I mean, you can basically see Xcelerator's coasters all across Europe, but you'd only see a handful of their coasters outside of Europe. And Jaguar is just part of the handful. Just looking at the stats, Jaguar!
Sorry, I'll stop.
Just looking at the stats, Jaguar does not look that good. It only has a height of 65 feet and a drop of 45 feet, a max vertical angle of 25 degrees, a top speed of 35 miles per hour, and it only has about 2,600 feet of track. Heck, what I think is the most impressive stat on this coaster is the amount of cars per train. On Jaguar, each car has 1 row that can sit 2 people, and with 15 cars per train,
It is so long!
But enough with the stats, let's quickly go through the ride. You start off your journey with Jaguar through this temple structure, which is actually pretty well themed. At least if you avoid the trash that California locals litter. Once inside the station, you choose one of the bazillion rows, buckle your Cedar Fair seatbelt, pull down your awkwardly high lap bar, and you're off to do awkward turns, dips, helixes, and straight sections. That's literally all you do for the entire ride. Now hold on, that can't be it. There must be some sort of speciality within these elements. Are there laterals? Yes, but they made the laterals on this ride pretty uncomfortable due to one negative factor I'll get to later. Are the positive forces good? Wait, this ride has positive forces? Is there airtime? I don't know, maybe in the front on a lucky day, but absolutely nowhere near something like Phoenix at Knoebels or Coaster at P&E Playland. Huh, so this ride doesn't have any speciality to it. That's a shame. Alright, we need this coaster out ASAP. The Intamin Aquatrax coaster can't wait much longer. I get that this ride is a family coaster, but it's honestly an outdated and mediocre mess. And that's partly thanks to the seating and restraints on this ride. The seating on Jaguar is very cramped. If you were to fit 2 skinny adults on here, there would literally be no space left between both people. And the spacious restraint system barely helps. Not only are the restraints awkwardly high above your waist, but due to that awkward restraint height and lack of ratcheting, this tame family coaster gets a height requirement of 48 inches. Imagine having a child that just got to that height and telling them, "Hey there, son, for your first big coaster, do you want to ride the big wooden coaster? The fast and exhilarating looping coaster, the tall and frightening diving coaster, or Jaguar?"
I don't know.
I mean, why? Who in their right mind would think a coaster with this light magnitude can at least be ridden by people who can also ride these? Like I've said before, this ride is very mediocre and that's pretty much it. Personally, I'd really like to see it get retracked with Xcelerator's modern track, and I love to see new, not as cramped trains. But since there's still the cramped trains, I'd say it's best to have a row all to yourself on this one. And even then, I still don't see this ride's lifespan going on for too long. Jaguar receives 4 out of 10. If I had to say a few positive things about this ride, I would say that the Temple queue line is better than the ride itself, and the ride is actually pretty good to look at. Other than that, I'd just ride this for the coaster credit and move on. Which is exactly what I did, about a half dozen times. What, lines in this park are non-existent on various weekdays. Anyways, this session of reviews is going on for too long, so I'll just leave the coaster reviews like this until the next video. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll be back with a boysenberry icy.